Hello, hello. Welcome back to Thirsty Thursdays, where we are soaking up and drinking up the knowledge. Today, we are talking about all kinds of craziness. We're going to react to and have a conversation on the underwater bases in the Bermuda Triangle,
Yeah.
also known as the Underwater Area 51. Dun, dun,
Ooh, I know.
dun.
I love that.
And UFOs over Congress. Anyone? Hello. We're going to discuss that too. And a little bit of gifted children that were recruited for secret space programs.
Oh, little
All right.
SSP, huh?
Yeah. So, and the mystery
Huh.
drones are back.
Oh my gosh.
So we're going
You
to be
mean the
talking.
New Jersey mystery drones?
Yeah, yeah, except they're not over Jersey.
I know. Where are they
It's
at?
not even the United
Oh
States.
yeah, that's right. Copenhagen.
Yeah, Copenhagen and Poland and the Netherlands and like all kinds of
Yeah.
places. Yeah,
European vacation over here.
right. So, let's start with talking about the recent congressional hearing on UFOs. Chris Bledsoe and several other people were there for this particular hearing. We had new whistleblowers that came out and spoke. And so apparently they called in the orbs or UFOs while they were all there together.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm definitely not surprised. I mean, especially when you're talking about Chris Bledsoe. If he's in the picture, he's looking up and he's throwing out those prayers. And everyone knows who he is these days. So it's time to flock over to Chris and take a gander up in the sky, because 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to see some kind of white orb object. And from what I gather, it did more than just slowly move from this point of the sky to that point. Sound like there's some figure eight motions going on, a
Yeah.
little speed here and there, which that's what I'm all about. Like, I get excited when I see a satellite, right? I
Mhm.
know it's a satellite, but I want to keep my eye on it just in case it takes off like the speed of
Right.
light.
Right. Because you never know. You never
Right.
know what it's going to do. Now I do want to back up to your statement about the whole prayer thing because I want to reiterate what the one blonde lady, I don't forgive me, I don't know her name. Um, she did the interview with Ross Cohart and the scientist lady and
Yeah.
Bledsoe recently. And
Mhm.
she was trying to make the point that you don't need prayer necessarily, that any form of setting a good intention with your heart in the right place and your mind in the right place for meeting them or interacting with them, and they're going to give you the same results. They like to come and interact with anyone who's in a good heart space. And of course, if you're saying a prayer, you're in that type of mindset and heart space. But you can also be in that if you're not religious and still call them in. Um,
Yes.
so I just wanted to help clarify her point because I felt like in the interview that the other lady actually kept trying to almost have a pissing contest with her to keep her from being able to make her point on that. So I just want to like back a girl up, because I know from my own experience that I mean I can go sit in my yard, I can meditate, doesn't matter what yard I'm in, it doesn't matter where I'm at, and
Right.
I can call them in and have interaction with them, you know,
Yes. Right.
particularly in a group of people where we all have that same intention. We've done it before.
Yep.
So I know that this is something that's possible, and I'm not saying a prayer beforehand. I'm just setting my intention
Right.
that I would like very much for them to come and interact with us, because I feel good when they're around. It's a great
Right.
feeling.
Yep.
So I just wanted to clarify that for anybody that cares about my 2 cents.
Well, you know what? I do. And I think that's a real big part of all of this is, we're kind of mixing spirituality, religion with the cosmos, the UFOs, the aliens. This is what it's all about for me. It went from the UFO, for me it went from a vortex in the clouds to the UFO to biblically accurate angels, like the wheel within the wheel and things like that. So I was forced to look into these things, not because I was a Roman Catholic growing up and realized this is something I need to study. I realized that I needed to study it because I experienced something that they're talking about. So I
Right.
automatically have this love and passion for it. And sometimes when I put intentions out there, I almost think it's praying, but I know it's, you call it what you want to, homie. I've said it before. Call it
Yeah.
what you want to, homie, but I'm gonna stay short for funky, man. This you, like you say, you just put that intentions out there and
Yeah.
you go with your heart, and call it what you want to, homie, but
Yeah.
it feels like prayer, and I think it's
Yeah.
okay to accidentally throw that word out there, you know.
I think it's fine to use the word as long as we're not trying to push like a religious or
Oh, no, no, no.
specifically only Christian type of
No,
narrative in it.
no,
And
right.
that's what I kind of felt like the lady was trying to do, you
Yeah.
know? I for me, I never even like I had the UFO stuff and it felt really wonderful and familiar and like family and so yes, spiritual for me,
Wow.
right? But then I also had like my spiritual beliefs and my Christian beliefs that I was trying to figure out how that all gets organized together. And then I had, like Bigfoot and I had um, government lies and conspiracy theories stuff and it all felt very compartmentalized and separate for me
Mm-hmm.
for a really long time in my life, and then I realized that it's actually one great big whole picture. It's
Mm-hmm.
just little pieces of the puzzle, and it all really fits together. And
Yeah.
so, now that I'm seeing it from that lens, I just really understand that this is a universal thing, much like music. This is a
Ah,
universal experience. This is
yeah.
not just for Christians or just for people who believe in the power of prayer, which I do believe in the power of prayer 100%, you know, and I believe in Jesus. I'm not saying I'm anything against anybody there. I just think it's important that these people that are in the know not push a narrative that shoves us back into a box
Right.
somewhere
Right.
because it's meant to be something for everyone on the whole planet.
Right. And I think it's such a popular word, prayer, because you know what? It works. And you know why it works? Because you're using your
Because
inside.
you believe.
There you go.
Because you believe.
Yep.
If you have enough faith in something, it's gonna happen, right? I mean,
Right.
that's that like and people are like, "Well, how can you say that?" Well, let me explain. So God has his own plug, right? Universal consciousness, God, source, whatever you wanna call it up there. It has its own, let's say it's got the 3 prong, the
Uh-huh.
special, like, 3 prong thing,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Right.
And you gotta use your 3 prong thing to plug into it,
Yeah.
right?
You got
You
your
gotta have
common, you
that.
got your ground, you got your what, you got your live. Yeah.
So you have to put your own belief or intention into it, right? To make
Yeah.
your male and female parts gotta fit,
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to make it
Right.
sexual,
No, not at all.
but yeah, I
That's
mean, you
mechanical. That's what we use. Female and yeah. I was
male.
I was talking mechanical too. I'm a tech, man. I'm sorry. You start
I'm
talking
very
techie stuff.
technical. I'm
Yeah.
very technical in my brain, and I need to understand how everything works. Like, I love watching people do their own trade, whether it's metal work or,
Yeah. The blow up the glass work.
I freaking love how all that shit works. Like, I
Yeah.
love watching it, I love it. I stay here and watch these I almost said stupid documentaries because most people would think it's stupid.
Yeah.
But, like, I watched little mini documentaries on people making pumpkins out of blown glass and
That's what I was just thinking. That's what I was.
yeah.
I got stuck watching that same one.
Did you see that too?
Yes, it's unbelievable the steps that
It's
they're taking.
incredible. It's
Yeah, the heat,
incredible.
it's got to be a certain heat for this to be done and this curly cue to be snapped off with the
Yeah.
scissors. And
Yes, I was
yeah,
like, that's yeah, it was a pumpkin on the vine.
yeah,
It was so cool. I was like, I freaking love this shit. I
yep.
personally would have liked for the pumpkin to stay a little more darker orange
Yeah.
when they were done. It was a little too light orange for me. I liked it in
So,
its other stages. But yeah, I love learning how things are made, you
yeah.
know? I love that. Like I'm a nerd. That's what I do in my pastime. I learn how things are made. That or I watch a lot of happy little video clips, which I'm gonna start doing a show on,
On your
where
happy video clips?
everything's just happy.
Ah, we all need to throw in a show like that just to
Yeah,
mix it up
yeah.
and keep the vibe.
You wanna
Yeah.
do a happy show with me?
Man, you sure know how to keep me busy. Yeah, huh? You invite me
Instead
to
of Monday Madness?
all this stuff. Yeah, that Monday Madness is a lot of work, man.
Yeah, Monday
I
Madness
see,
is a lot
yeah,
of
I
work.
see all the videos and stuff that you guys have researched. Like, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
Woo.
a lot of work. That's why I decided I need to do something more fun. And I've got like probably 50 little shorts already saved to start doing these videos. That's just like there's this guy that stands out on the street. He goes from city to city and stands on the street with his guitar and just offers people to come and sing. And he'll let them pick
Oh
any
yeah,
song they want to
right.
sing.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I love this guy. I watch him all the time. And he has this newer one with this little autistic child who just rocks this song. And I'm just like, that's the most beautiful thing in the world. So it's going to be one of my happy ones.
Oh,
But yeah, I love that's what I do in my pastime. But we're way off track now. We're
oh,
supposed to be talking about UFOs.
that's right.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull up this video. This one. Yeah, yeah. And I'm just gonna play the very beginning of it.
UFOs over Congress?
Oh my
Exactly
God, hold
12
on.
hours before lawmakers.
Why is this not connected to the right speakers? Sorry, my bad. Do some filler, Mike. I gotta fix my speaker.
Oh.
Think fast, talk.
Oh man.
I'm teasing. It's fine. Okay, there we go. This crazy computer of mine. Now it should work.
Hold a bombshell hearing on UFOs. Strange lights fly above the Capitol. Seen by 9 witnesses, 4 come forward with their story. A former official for the National Science Foundation.
She's the one I was talking about pushing
Yeah.
the thing, the narrative. Yeah.
Yep.
A U.S. intelligence analyst, a multi-billion-dollar investment manager, and a world-famous UFO experiencer. It's 1952 all over again, the night UFOs returned to the Capitol.
That's some pretty funky music, ain't it?
Yeah. Well, we were going back.
Right?
It's
felt like we were
flashback, 1952.
I felt like we were fixing to watch the Jeffersons or something. All right. So I'm just gonna zip up here to Chris Bledsoe. Maybe hold on. This is the video footage.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Now, our last episode, we actually live streamed the UAP hearing, and at the end of our sort of analysis of the hearing, we showed the videos that you took of these orbs right above the Capitol, and we read a statement from you and Anna Brady Estevez. So, firstly, thank you for allowing us to be the first one to share this experience and show the video, and that's what we're here, of course, to talk about and dig into it a little bit more with a little bit more detail, and we have on the show some of the other individuals that experienced this same event that you were part of. So what I want to do is I want you to sort of walk us through the day. Like let's start at the beginning. Walk us through what occurred during the day right up until the anomalous experience occurred.
Yeah, during the day, evening, went to the pre-UAP hearing gathering. Some people have called it a meeting. I like to call it a gathering because it was a lot of like-minded souls trying to push for disclosure. And it was Representatives Burleson and Luna hosted it. So we were at the Capitol Hill Club just beside Capitol Hill, and we had a great gathering. And towards the end of the night, there was just a few of us that were left. And this UAP community is very small, so a handful of us have become really good friends over time. And so we all didn't really want to go home yet. And with Chris Bledsoe there, he offered to walk us to the mall and for us to skywatch. And so we walked a few blocks to the Library of Congress, and we were standing on the sidewalk there, and that's when we started seeing some objects.
Okay, so let's pick it up from that point. From the moment you first noticed something unusual, walk us through what happened until it was over. Just sort of, what you personally saw and heard and felt. What was your experience?
Yeah. First off, the experience was absolutely incredible. I have seen orbs previously. I have also summoned some in before, and the maneuvers that these made were not like anything I've seen before, including my time on supporting the UAP task force. So this was truly anomalous for me. And so almost immediately, so Chris went into his I call it a prayer. I think he calls it a prayer too, but I don't want to take his words from him. But he starts with a prayer and intention of, a peaceful, friendly gathering there. And so we all kind of chimed in and started saying, amen or a little bit. But I don't even know if he was through his entire prayer before we started seeing something. And he was already looking the direction that things were coming. And so we were standing at the Library of Congress, and we were looking like west, almost a little bit northwest. So it was right over the Capitol building, kind of towards the White House as well.
Okay. I'm going to bump on up to Chris Bledsoe because she kind of talks for a while.
Okay.
See, she's still talking. Still talking. Here he is.
It's so great to have you on the show. So welcome. How have you been?
Thank you for having me, Matt. And I've been great, busy, traveling all over the country, and running like crazy.
Exactly. I saw you on Skinwalker Ranch. That was really great. I'm a huge fan of that show and what they're doing over there. And I saw you on Beyond Skinwalker Ranch as well, where they came out to your property, and it was just amazing. But we're here to talk about the orb experience that occurred over the Capitol Hill building the night before the UAP hearing. So let's start with just sort of what happened during the day. We'll go right up to the point where the anomalous experience happened. Just give us a bit of background on what occurred during the day leading up to that point.
Well, basically, I'd have to back up 2 days because I got a call from Dr. Brady and some of her friends, along with Eric Zydak, which I think you're going to have him on. And we met up in Wilmington to spent a couple days together observing the ocean and orbs. And while we were there, I got a call, can you come to the Capitol Hill Club for a reception with Congressman Burleson and Anna and another group of people. And so I left Anna, Dr. Brady, and her group. They drove back to D.C. I drove home Sunday night, jumped a flight Monday morning, and flew up so my day was traveling to DC, and we got there just about 2 hours before I had to be at the Capitol Hill Club. And so, yeah, we were observing orbs for 2 days before that. So, and it was just an amazing event, completely amazing. We went into the reception and had a great time meeting everybody. I think Jaime Maussan was there, and Stephen Greer, and Danny Sheehan, the whole group. And afterwards, we went out for a little stroll towards the Library of Congress. So that was kind of my day.
Okay, great. So let's pick it up right at that point. So you're out with this group, and you see what?
Well, we walked up to the Library of Congress where we could face the Capitol building and the White House. You could see it off in the distance, and everybody wanted to see orbs, and so they asked if I would go with them. And it was some very prominent scientists there, which you know several of them. Some I can't mention. And said a little prayer, and here it come. And for 45 minutes, there were 3 orbs all in total, if you look carefully, and they would appear and disappear, and just basically, they owned Washington for about 45 minutes there.
Walk us through exactly like what they were doing. So you're standing up there and you're looking towards the thing. What's the first thing you see?
Well, other than the lights from DC, you have all these massive, big, round street lights everywhere. So if you see the video, we're all doing this, trying to block the light. So one of the guys in the group saw it coming. So it's coming from towards the Capitol building towards us, and it was faint. And then it got closer and it flashed. You could see it get brighter for a minute, and then it took off and it vanished, and it reappeared, and it began to do figure eights sort of around the Capitol, and then it would vanish again. And the whole crowd went, "Oh my God, this was amazing!" And so I said, "Well, let me show you. We'll get it to come back. Hopefully, we'll say another little prayer." And it was the most amazing thing, because we had people from the Catholic Church, from the Protestant faith, and from the Jewish faith all together, saying a little prayer together. And every time we did, here it would come back. And so for 45 minutes, 7 or 8 times, it would appear on cue and do its thing. And it was an amazing thing.
I want to focus on what it looked like. Like, how would you describe it? The shape, the color, the brightness, the size. As I mentioned earlier with Anna Brady Estevez, like if a bird is flying above the Capitol with the lights coming up, the bird isn't emitting light. It's
Right.
the white body reflecting it. Talk about exactly what these things look like.
Well, I have several videos of those. In fact, when we were at the Psy Games earlier this year, we had one that appeared over the hotel, and it appeared to have wings at times, and then at times it didn't, and it flew very erratic around and around. And that's a lot of what I see, these very erratic movements, and the intensity of the light will get very bright for a moment, and then it'll fade out and maybe completely vanish, and then you'll see another one that's invisible appear next to it and take off. And so it wasn't one orb doing that, it was 3. And there's usually always 3. When you see one, there are 2 more, and they're very close by. And
Okay. I think that's pretty interesting that they always come in 3s.
Ah, yeah.
Maybe that's what a lot of people are seeing when we think we're actually seeing a triangle craft, because you've got 3 points of light. Maybe they're not always a triangle.
Yeah,
You know?
and they're not always alone. I mean, there's been times where I see the white orb monitoring me, and I'm focusing a lot of attention and time on this one white orb, and all of a sudden another one pops up not too far from it. I'm like, oh my God, there was 2. And then sometimes, oh my God, there's 3. Look, it
Right.
happens. Yeah. They're the watchers, man. Those white
Yeah,
orbs,
I
they're
think
like
so
the
too.
monitor.
And I don't think the watchers means that they're a bad thing either. I think that
No.
too many people take that from the Christian description of the watchers, you know. Actually, Enoch is the one that described the watchers for the
Yeah.
biblical stuff, and they don't even allow his stuff to be in the Bible. So why are we believing that part if you don't want to believe the rest of what he had to say? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You know,
What makes sense to me is they're watching. You
they're
know,
watching,
they're watching us.
but the Christians make that out to be like that's the devil's fallen angels kind of watchers, right? And I
Yeah,
don't think that they're evil. I don't think they're evil.
no,
They're just simply watchers. But what I found interesting and I wanted to bring up is that these orbs were flying over top of the Capitol, over top of the Lincoln Center, and all that. You like over top of Congress, right? Why? Where were the F-15s or F-18s that scramble for that kind of stuff to happen when that stuff happens, right? You've got something
yeah,
flying over top of a no-fly zone.
yeah.
How come no military showed up? That's
That's a good.
interesting to me.
It is, especially when we know that they like to shoot them and stuff and see what they do. But
Right.
like you said, it is restricted air, but it's their space. Like it's restricted for everyone else, not them. If they have every business to be in that
Yeah,
in that space. But if there's something else in that space, you would think that they would be on it, like a
you would
fly.
think. You
So
would think. And you would also have to think that, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying that if something like this does happen, you would think that Trump would know immediately, you know. Pete what's his name? Hegseth would know, right? Cuz he's like the top guy for the Department of War. Now it's called the Department of War,
oh, okay.
right? Pete Hegseth. Like those people would know. Why haven't we heard anything from them on these UFOs that were flying above this no-fly zone airspace? Just I have questions. I have lots of questions. Why are the journalists not asking these questions? How come they're not asking those other people, what's going on with that? Why didn't we have um, fighter planes sent out to see if they're good or
Yeah,
not?
right.
Not that I think they're bad. I'm just saying from like a legal,
Yeah, right.
nation point of view,
Hmm.
why didn't any of that stuff happen? So,
Especially if we're talking about figure eight movements. So when Chris describes the figure eight, I want to know, like, I would stop him right there and say, let's talk about that figure eight. Like, how people just say, like, it was maybe a slow figure eight. Like, I've seen, a white orb on this side of the sky for 15, 20 minutes. And then the next 15, 20 minutes, it's on the other side. And then maybe another 15, 20 minutes later, it's kind of on its way back to where I originally seen it. Would I describe that to somebody as, hey man, this thing was doing figure eights? I want to know. Whoa, oh, okay. It was smoke. I thought I seen another orb. But it's
it
like, but
does
he's talking
happen.
he's talking figure eights, and why are we talking? We sure are talking a lot of orbs. Orbs and UAPs. I was never turned on by the whole UAP terminology. I'm old school like you. I like meat and potatoes and
I'm just gonna
UFO.
call it a UFO.
UFO. It seems to change the whole narrative if you want to forcefully talk about UAPs and just change it, like you're changing the narrative. I don't like that. Um,
Yeah.
and it comes to a certain point with me where I need a little bit more than an orb. I love orbs. It took me a long time to realize that I do like and very interested in orbs, and I believe in them, and I felt that they've monitored me at times, and I've got videos of them as well. But
Mhm.
the only thing I've ever witnessed them do is shoot up pretty quick up through the clouds, and wait and made one of my friends think it disappeared when I think I told you this before. It didn't disappear. I just seen it move real quick, and I wish I would have had my phone on it. I wish I was recording it, and I usually do. I usually am recording these white objects. But
Mhm.
that's the most dramatic movement I've seen them do is just a quick dart up for a little bit, but no figure eights that I could sit here and brag about.
Right.
Yeah, if he's talking figure eights, I mean, I want to know the speed at which this figure eight happened. Was it a long period of time? You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I've never seen any incredible maneuvers like that either. Now I've seen two larger orbs and I've seen smaller orbs that are like the size of like a soccer ball. Okay.
Mhm.
And they were very, very low to the ground coming toward me, probably 10 or 15 feet off the ground. So they were definitely soccer ball size. Um, and then I saw another one that we thought it was the moon. It looked big and full and bright and the color of the moon in the trees, like in the woods, but like beneath the treetops as we're driving down a country road and we're trying to figure out how the hell is the moon setting so low, you know, this time of night because it's only like 11:30. And somebody in the car said maybe it was like a moonrise, right? And I'm like, okay, I'll give it that. Maybe it's a moonrise. Um, so we watch it the whole time we're going down this long country road. It was probably a good 18 miles worth of country road before we hit the main road. We hit the main road, went 5 more miles to town to get the things we were going for, came back down to the country road, and all the way back, we're still looking like higher in the sky and everywhere. There's no moon to be seen at all. No moon. So this
Hmm.
thing was not the moon, but it looked as big as the moon,
Hmm.
right? So I've seen that kind of an orb. And then literally standing in my front yard, myself and about 6 other people witnessed something that looked as big as the sun and burning the color of the sun like a bright orange red land in my neighbor's field across the road from me. We watched this thing come down and stop, come down and rest on the ground. And it looked like a big plasma energy ball, is the best way I can explain it. I don't know what the hell that was about because we didn't go running over there to see. we actually we actually were scared and ran back in the house. That's what we did. As soon as we saw that it landed, we were like, "Motherfucker, I'm gone." We were running in the house. I ain't sticking around for this shit, you know. So there was that, but never no fancy maneuvers in the sky. Would love to see that. That would be incredible.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah.
I'm a walking sky watch, man. You know, you hang out with Chris Bledsoe for 5 minutes, you're doing a sky watch over in the
Oh yeah.
Capitol. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Damn right they're gonna take advantage of that. I would too if I were them. Shoot.
yeah. Chances are you're going to see something. But like I
Right.
said, I want to see a ship, man. I want to see a saucer. You know, I want to. I've seen one up close. You know, I know that they can give you more than just a white dot in the sky. I know they can give you more. Why don't they just give us more?
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
that's something I never could understand too, because as much interaction and experience as I've had being taken,
Yeah. Come
why do
on.
they not come when I'm just asking them to come and show their face
Well,
to me?
yeah, I
You
know
know?
it's not going to work
Like,
that way,
why
but
why can't you show up and look at me while I'm awake and ready for it so that I can say, "Take me to your leader," you
right,
know?
yeah. Gosh, we know this energy works, you know, when we call out to them. Just
Yeah.
show us real quick. Just show
Yeah.
us real quick, man. It's a
Yeah.
hot time.
Like, I'm so ready for the dialogue to happen, you know? Even though it's through telepathy, it's still dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
ready for it. All right, what is our next little piece let's talk about the drone invasion.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Talk about watering down the skies. What?
I know, and there's so many mixed feelings on the drones thing right now because who the hell knows if it's, like, Russia's drones or
Yeah.
alien drones at this point,
Well,
right?
if they're not even emitting a radio frequency, what the heck? I mean, it's got to be ours. If Trump is admitting to it and not saying anything
Right,
more,
isn't that bizarre to learn
yeah,
that there's no radio frequency on it to hit their signal and scramble it and knock them out of the sky?
yeah,
That's
eh,
that's interesting to me. So that says to me either it's ours, like you said,
right,
or it's theirs.
yeah, and the size, they're like up to 6 feet in diameter now.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
knew this
like
was
as
going to
big as an
happen.
SUV. What?
Kelly, I knew this was going to happen when Starlink started shooting off those satellites 100 at a time, and
Hmm.
drones were a hot deal, and they start doing all these. You've seen the drone shows that they do, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's amazing. And I just thought, God, they're really watering down the skies, and I'm glad that I got my UFO experience out there way before we started shooting all this stuff up into the sky. And
Yeah.
anybody that's gotten experience now, it's going to take something dramatic for anyone to listen to them, because
Hmm.
everybody and
Exactly.
their mother is reporting stuff that's flying around, because there's all kinds of stuff flying around.
Right. So is it your opinion then that probably most of the drones that we've seen are
Yeah,
like human?
they are, because that ain't nothing to me. That's nothing. I think it's another distraction, and it's a technology that they just happen to be really using right now. That you don't have to put anybody's life, on the line. That's what
Yeah.
intelligent species do. They send out drones. It's
Right.
they we stop
I
using
agree.
monkeys and rats and stuff. And
Yeah, I agree. And I actually have a connection that worked in NASA that helped to build certain drones that the public didn't know existed that were similar to um, a two-engine biplane, except smaller, about the size of an SUV. And they were NASA drones for surveillance. And as soon as this drone stuff started last year in November, they got a hold of me and was like, Kelly, that's that project I was telling you about that I worked on. And they even sent me like diagrams and schematics and stuff to show me like they're part of the work on it. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's probably ours then, the drones.
right. Oh my
But now
gosh.
there were orbs also, right? There were also orbs up there. Very cool iridescent plasma orbs that these drones were like trying to run off, is what it looked like to me. They were trying to either run them off or trying to be a decoy for them showing up. And those actually were seen coming in and out of the ocean by many, many people. And we have a video clip on that too that I'm going to share here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and cut to the drone footage real quick. The invasion worldwide,
War of the Worlds.
right?
Terry, recently there appear to be more and more drones violating the airspaces of European countries. Is Europe growing nervous about events like these?
All right, let's go to this breaking news alert. Drones flying over Copenhagen airport for hours.
Yeah, Danish police are now currently investigating.
Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has called a drone incident at Copenhagen's airport the most serious attack to date.
Separate drone sightings forced the closures in Copenhagen and the Norwegian city of Oslo. Authorities have not blamed any country or organization for those attacks, and it remains unclear if the incidents are linked. In recent weeks, several European countries have reported Russian incursions into their airspace, including Poland, Estonia, and Romania. Russia has denied involvement in any of those incidents, including the ones last night.
Well, most of the time I am speaking about military.
So that actually makes me wonder, are they just using Russia, Russia, Russia as a cover again? You know, I mean, is
Well,
this Russia, Russia, Russia all over again, or are they actually up to no good and they're just in denial and
I think
gaslighting
it
people?
still works. It still works, man. You yell out Russia, Russia, Russia,
Oh my
and
God, it
and
totally works. It
and
totally works.
us Cold War baby boomers.
Yeah. I am not old enough to be a baby
All
boomer,
right,
but I do remember the Cold
X,
War
Gen
stuff.
X, Gen X.
Gen X, all the way, baby.
We
Gen
weren't
X.
baby boomers. I'm sorry. You know what I
No,
meant. Yeah, you know what I mean.
yeah,
Us Cold War
yeah.
Generation Xers.
Gen Xers, we know all about that shit, right?
Yeah.
Anything and everything that happened was blamed on Russia back in those days. And it's like history's repeating itself, really.
Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that it's Russia, Russia, Russia? Or do you think
No,
it's aliens, aliens,
it's
aliens?
no, it's hometown buffet.
It's hometown buffet, all you
Yeah.
can eat?
Yep.
I love a good buffet. I like smorgasbords. I'm all about the food.
I think they like it, man. The government likes, having it's like having something up on us, they always got to have something, and it's like they don't know all that you think about these things. I believe the technology is way ahead that they know. I know that.
Yeah.
But like to me, all this stuff, like when they're done playing all these games, then they're gonna start implementing the flying cars. All right, guys, here's your flying cars.
You know what? I better damn get my Jetson car. I've been waiting a dick year to get a Jetsons car.
See, we already got what was the housekeeper's name? Oh man, the robot.
I don't
What's her
remember the
name?
robot lady's name.
Not June. June. He doesn't. I don't remember him introducing
June or,
her.
June or Judy was the mom's name or something, I think. But
Yeah.
I'll
Dang
Google it
it.
real fast. I'll Google it.
Oh man. Now we
Come
can't move on until I find the name of
on, Jetsons.
Jetson's maid's name.
Rosie.
Thank you. Dang it. That's what it
Ha.
was. I've been through this before. I should know that.
Yeah. Rosie.
Yeah, I think it's hometown buffet. I don't think it's UFOs. I don't think it's Russia, Russia, Russia. Unless it's in Russia, 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 which it is. It's in every country. China, Japan. They're flirting with these things all over the place,
Yeah.
and some don't emit radio frequencies. Okay, some are as big as an SUV. Okay, when you're done, can we play with that technology?
Right.
Playing
Right.
your games?
Like,
Because that's not a real UFO to me. That's not a real. I've seen different types of UFOs. I've seen up close and personal the saucer, the okey doke saucer. Yes, I have. It's
mm-hmm.
not a made up thing. They really look like saucers. It's crazy. I've seen
Yeah.
it. And then in 2022, me and my wife, we see an egg shaped football kind of shape, in the middle. And this thing is rolling from left to right. And then you have a ring that's going around it, like the Ophanum, like the biblically accurate, throne angel. Just half, really, though. If you think about it, it's just one ring, which
Mm-hmm.
threw me off for a while, though. I still don't know what the heck that was, but I haven't seen that one on the list of all the shapes of everything that they like to document and label.
Yeah.
These are the kind of ships that we reported in the 50s, in the 60s, in
Mm-hmm.
the 70s, and then 80s, blah blah blah. There's
Yeah.
really no, like if you see our Model T Ford, and then you see our, Lotus Esprit Turbo, you can kind of see where we're headed, you know. And some people like to do that with the UFOs and stuff. They go, look at the UFOs, just happen to look like 1950s, movie stuff back in the 50s, but in the 80s and 90s, they started looking a little futuristic, like
Yeah.
they're timeless.
That actually makes me want to ask another question.
Huh.
Huh, imagine that, right? um, why is it that someone like yourself, who has seen such a unique UFO craft that's so very similar to Ezekiel's wheel in the
Yeah,
Bible,
right.
why is not the media and the Pope and the military and NASA and all of them flocking to someone like you versus Chris Bledsoe, who has, I mean, no offense to him, but in a lot of ways, a very similar story to a whole host of people, where he sees lights in the sky and has an experience of an encounter or being taken. I mean, we have many, many stories like that. It's not like his story is that rare in that sense, right? Now,
Right.
granted,
Well,
he was given a message, but so was
yeah.
I. So
Right.
again, that begs the question, and I have told this for years to many very high up UFO people, MUFON included. Why is it that someone like me that has that same type of message, not splattered all over the news headlines, not being paraded around in all of the conventions, like, what is it specifically that they don't want us to know versus what they do? I guess that's my question.
Yeah, well, maybe certain people's stories fit certain people's narratives a little better. And, Chris was talking about this lady, right?
Yeah, but
And
I also saw a lady.
right, and a lot of people, might think that's Guadalupe, the Mary, um,
I mean, I never likened my beautiful lady to Mother Mary. He did, right?
Mother Nature,
Yeah.
female as a god is always up there, uh, because if you think about it, it would make sense that a woman would be God. It really, I'm
Right,
a
because she's the one with the womb.
right, yeah, I'm a firm believer in every strong man. Behind them is a stronger woman.
Mhm.
But no one's heard of the Ophanum. Maybe my
Right,
job
except for
this
way,
time
way back.
around, maybe my job this time around is to, I wouldn't say put it on the map a little bit more, but get people to be a little bit more familiar with maybe that aspect of the angel hierarchy, and it's part of this
Yeah,
puzzle. It's not the
yeah,
answer to everything, but it's just part of the puzzle. Just like your experience and with the whole Great Awakening, you knew you were going to be supposed to be part of this ever since you were a little girl. You
yeah.
know, um, that's your part. It takes a tribe, it really does, and he's
It
got a
does,
piece and we have a piece. I don't know why. I don't
and
know if
that's
I
that's
want
my
them to be
that's my
flocking.
point. That's my point. Why is the exclusivity focused on only him and not all of the other information that is also out there for the public to know?
It fits
Like,
someone
why
else's.
why are they not, you know, why are they not investigating that further if they're so interested in knowing the truth about all this? It seems to me it would stand to reason a good investigator like myself would want to interview more than just the one, right?
They're hijacking a narrative.
Yeah.
They want to use. We're getting melted down to just looking at orbs all the time and getting very excited about orbs, which could very
Right.
well end up being these drones that we're talking about on the same show here. We're
Right.
talking drones. They could be, they're supplying Bledsoe with equipment. He's so
Right.
popular that they supply him with high end stuff, and all he's getting. I'm not saying all he's getting. I love Chris, and I'm a firm
Right.
believer in these orbs. They monitor us. I believe that. I know that. But
Mhm.
why aren't we getting anything more than that? Because
Yeah.
you're leaving it open for a drone to just slip right in over the Capitol, and they weren't directly over the Capitol, like you said. They were a little over here, a little over there.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it's like when you hear about the figure eights, it's like that. How dramatic were these figure eights? And when you say over the Capitol, do you literally mean like in 1952, where they have the famous picture of the
Yeah.
three lights above the Capitol? They were,
Right.
from what I gather, they were all over the place. And it's like at some point we're going to need something more, because we know that they could do more than just give you a little bright light. Maybe we're not quite all ready for that moment, uh, but I just need a little bit more than that still.
Right. I think you're right there. Yeah.
You're
All very
leaving it
good
open
points.
to drones. That could be drones.
Mhm.
And they want you to see, look, he did it again. Look, folks, he did it again. And it's the drones going wherever he goes. Like, let's just follow this guy and this narrative. Let's push this. We're going to push this right now. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you bring up a good point too with the equipment because he's got really like hella great equipment now. So why are we only still seeing the light part
And I've
you
seen
know.
some of these videos. Like I said, I've known him for quite a while, and
Mhm.
I can't help but to think, well, gosh, what am I really looking at here? You're moving around a lot. Like I'm not there. It's hard for me. The only thing that's tough for me to swallow is because I'm not there. That's all. If I was
Yeah.
there, I would have a better understanding of what he's filming. But if I'm not there, I don't know what's going on. It looks like he's hurt, he's moving around, or whoever's taking the pictures is like you're moving, and then objects that are staying place now appear to be. Are they moving? I don't know. I need to be there, and I don't recall seeing anything that just totally blew me away and gave me that awe factor. Like, oh my gosh, this is happening all the time. Anytime he wants, this is happening. I'm not getting that. I'm not.
Right. Yeah, I think instead of answering questions, it just makes for more, right?
We're getting too happy and watered down with these drones and white
Yeah.
orbs.
Yeah. And I still worry, not that I don't feel like there's people in Congress who actually are trying to get to the bottom of this and get the truth out there. Um, but I feel like it's being controlled. And so I really am concerned, how far will disclosure on this go when we're only pushing this one narrative,
Well,
this
you
one.
Tim Burchett, right?
Yeah.
The congressman,
Yeah.
he was
I
talking
love
about
him.
how, I don't know if you caught where he was saying. He was like, they've been here.
Mhm.
They've been here, and more than likely they're from the oceans, you know?
Right. Right.
And maybe they
And
weren't originally here from here originally, but they've been here. And when he
mhm.
says capital BEEN, I'm thinking these are the beings that have been here since the creation
Mhm.
of
I think
us.
so. I think so too. And even Anna Paulina Luna said that they've been here and that they're ancient, or their ancestors, if you will,
Yeah,
and alluded to that they could be our progenitors, our creators,
right.
and that they're interdimensional, not extraterrestrial,
Yeah, right.
right?
We just totally think they're from another planet when it's like, wow, they could be within a dimension, a slip from us. Like they say, we're right here, and the paranormal is like 4 feet
Mhm.
above us.
Right, at all times.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So if that's true, then they could be like right there, because I think they all share a thin spectrum of that
Mhm.
electromagnetic little thin layer of
Yeah.
whatever it is that they share, that they ride, the
Yeah.
paranormal.
They're in that frequency, so they're in that bandwidth, if we look at it
Ah,
like
yeah,
channels, right? Like radio
yeah,
channels. They're in that bandwidth because they share the same frequency or vibration. Um, and I know that there are interdimensional beings. I've witnessed this. Actually, I'm the one that sat in on the members paid meetings that you could do with Skinwalker Ranch when they were doing the show. When they first started the show, I don't know if they still do it or not, but when they first started doing the show for the first few seasons, you could pay to be a member and sit in on the Zoom meetings and be part of the think tank.
oh wow,
And I was the only female in the think tank, first of all. And then I was also the only one who knew to tell Travis Taylor to tune their lasers to 1.6 hertz, and it'll open the portal and call in the UFOs, the interdimensional UFOs. And I think he already knew that information because, see, at this time, they didn't know that he was part of NASA. They didn't know a whole lot about him, but I already did. And I thought they did. And I actually doxed him on accident in that meeting because I thought they knew he was from NASA and worked for the government. And at that point, they acted like they didn't know. So when I said the part about opening up the portal at 1.6 hertz, and he about fell out of his chair and never said a word. Everybody got really quiet, actually, and it was
hmm.
never addressed But 2 weeks later, they had a show that aired where they put the lasers at 1.6 hertz and opened a portal, and the orb craft showed up. So I'm the one that told them to do that, and I didn't get no damn credit for it.
Hey,
But I'm going to tell everybody I know. And I even called my friend in Colorado and told her. We were both watching the episode. I called her and told her. See, that's what I told him. Remember? And she's like, "Yeah, I remember you," because I called her and told her after the meeting that I think they should try that, and let's watch for it on the next few shows and see if they do it. So, like, I have witnesses that before that show aired, I was telling my friends and my people, I'm the one that told them to use 1.6 hertz to open that portal.
So are you talking more than one laser?
Yeah.
Does it take like three?
Triangulated three
Three?
lasers.
There we
Three.
go again with the three.
Threes are magic, man. Threes are magic. But yeah, 3 of them triangulated, pointed at each other over top of this area that they considered the hot zone, right?
Uh-huh. Yes. Right.
Yeah. And so they pointed them into this area, this zone of energy, this energy vortex area,
Yeah.
right? Where everything would malfunction really bad, rockets and all kinds of stuff, and plugged it into a 1.6 hertz. And they literally caught on film the portal opening up and the orb showing up and then the portal closing when the orb left. Like,
that was the best evidence that they caught on the entire show.
Yeah. And I did that shit.
That's the only part that I caught.
Yeah. But nobody wants to give me credit for it. But that's okay. That's okay. I know the truth.
You just keep on trucking. You just keep trucking, girl.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want all that. You know what I mean?
Blonde girls can be smart too.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm ready for all that attention that we were talking about earlier. You know how you were saying?
I mean, I don't want all that fame and glory stuff. But I know that what you know is an important piece of the puzzle. I know what I know is an important piece of the puzzle, and all of the pieces should be included and considered if you want to ever figure this out as a whole picture.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying on it.
You got to be a sponge. You got to be open. You got to be a sponge ready to absorb the thirstiness, you know?
Yeah. And as far as that part goes, like, that's got nothing to do with pride or ego or needing any kind of fame or fortune stuff.
Right.
That's just simply about really wanting to know the whole truth of this and have our government actually release it to the American public and the world, right? Once and for all, the whole truth, right? The truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. And you can't do that if you're not willing to interview these other people and see their evidence, right? Especially people like me that has receipts for so much stuff. So it's just frustrating that they don't want to consider these other pieces because I don't feel like we're ever going to get to the whole truth without it. And how can we? You know? So now I want to cut over to Tim Burchett, I think. Tim Burchett. With the underwater UFO.
Okay. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Geez. We still got 2 main topics.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Congressman Tim Burchett, dropped a bombshell this week when he openly talked about advanced civilizations coming from the bottom of at least 5 to 6 underwater locations that he's aware of. Alien craft or some sort of advanced craft using, I don't know, electromagnetism, etc., or anti-gravity propulsion, that are able to come from deep inside our oceans. We here at Redacted have also talked to U.S. military whistleblowers who confirm this to us. Dr. Michael Salla has been on this story for years. He writes at exopolitics.org. And by the way, he's got incredible sources on this, those who have been involved in these underwater base programs as well. Doctor, great to see you. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Clayton.
So I want to play Congressman Burchett's soundbite here so we can hear the congressman in his own words. This isn't some random kook. He's a member of Congress. Watch.
what if these are entities that are here on this earth, that have been on this earth, that who knows how long, and that we, you know, we think they're coming in from way out. Maybe they did millennia ago, but they're here and they're in these deep water areas, and that's why. I mean, like we say, we know more about the face of the moon than we do what's going on there. Now, we have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas. And so to me, it just it creates a question there. And then when we have naval personnel telling me that we have these sightings and that there's these underwater craft they're chasing that are doing hundreds of miles an hour, and the best we've got is something that does maybe just a little under 40 miles an hour. So I got a lot of questions about that stuff, and I mean,
I have a lot of questions about that too. Dr. Sala, what did you make of his comments there? Does this pair up with things that you've reported over the years and written about?
Definitely, yes. And it's good to emphasize that Congressman Burchett, I mean, he's been talking to a lot of very senior whistleblowers, people from the military, from senior ranks of the executive branch, or from any source that has some information about the UFO issue that they have been reporting to Congress through whistleblowers. And this is an official process. And you mentioned the UFO hearing last week on September 9. So we actually have whistleblowers appearing before Congress talking about their experiences. Now, what we have here from Tim Burchett is something pretty remarkable, that he's been told things about these underwater civilizations that is probably one of the most highly kept secrets in terms of what the US Navy is doing in the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the US Navy does have an Area 51 in the ocean. It's called ORTEC, which is the Atlantic Undersea Testing and Evaluation Center. It's on Andros Island, which is actually part of the Bahamas. So think about that you actually have this submarine base, this top secret submarine base, Andros Island, which is not even part of the United States. And right there in that diagram, you can see Andros Island with ORTEC. And just to the right of it is Tongue of the Ocean, which is a very deep part of the ocean there in the Bahamas. It drops off immediately around 3,000 feet. And so that's ideal for a submarine, but it's also a place where people have seen many UFOs, many underwater craft coming into and leaving the water. So there've been a lot of UFO sightings in that area. And I've actually got 2 witnesses who actually have been to locations under the water near the ORTEC. So
hold on a second. So you have 2 witnesses that have been working on these, I guess you could call them secret space programs, even though they're under the water by all accounts, that have been to these underwater bases basically in the Bermuda Triangle area. Is that right?
That's right, yes. 2 independent whistleblowers, people who have been participants in secret space programs, that have talked about their experiences. And these were experiences that were like over 40 years apart. So the one that I first began to discuss was with this Army insider who still goes by the pseudonym JP. Those are just the initials of his name. And at the time he was serving with the US Army, and he was called on a mission where he went to a ocean platform. He was taken there by a Black Hawk helicopter with 3 other personnel. One was a diplomat. And then they boarded a submarine that was crewed by these, they were kind of like Nordic-looking beings. They were very, very tall, like 6'9", 6'10". And he says that They went down in this submarine. It wasn't a US Navy submarine. It was something that had really advanced technologies inside it. The ceilings were very, very high, like 10 foot, so clearly not a US submarine. And he said it was very likely able to go out into space as well. So it was capable of both going into the ocean at high speeds and also flying into the atmosphere and out into space. But he
Okay, and I want to just stop that right there for a minute because I don't know if you're familiar with anything that William Tompkins ever spoke about. He was a very elderly gentleman. He first spoke to David Wilcock
Maybe.
when he first came out, and
Yeah.
he was one of the U.S. Navy spies and engineers for taking the blueprints, basically, of the UFOs that the Germans had during World War II. They went over there and infiltrated them. And his claims were that our U.S. military and Navy were working with Pleiadian or Nordic-looking people, and that he created blueprints, and they created spaceships from already made submarines that were in our fleet. They
Oh,
took some
wow.
of our already created submarines and redid the propulsion systems or whatever of them and whatever else they did to make them be able to move at very quick speeds under the water, but also into space. And so our very first UFO, government UFO, was a refurbished submarine. So this is very interesting that this person tells him that because, and 40 years ago, right? I would think that's probably the very same type of crafts that William Tompkins was referring to. And it just because we made them doesn't mean that there's no other type of beings involved, because even then in World War II, we had the Foo Fighters that everybody saw, right?
Yeah.
But we also had perfect specimens that we referred to as Pleiadian working with us and also with Hitler.
Yep. The Nordics.
The
And
Nordics,
yeah,
Pleiadian, Billy Meyer would call them Pleiadian, but it's the same thing.
right. Yeah, it is.
So I found that very interesting. And I also think it's very interesting that we have Russian military who, in their recently declassified notes that Michael Sala also touched on in this episode, they tried to capture 10-foot tall luminous beings that had rose out of the water. Of course, they all ended up injured or dead because that wasn't a smart thing for them to try to do, I guess.
Well,
But
that would explain the 10-foot ceilings in the submarines, right?
yeah,
That they were talking
exactly.
about.
And it might have something to do with the Miami Mall aliens too that happened.
Yeah.
When was that? Like a year and a half ago on New
Yeah.
Year's?
And if you think about it, like traveling in space and in the deep parts of our ocean may be very similar. You're just encapsulating yourself from the elements,
Right.
and whatever technology you have, it doesn't really matter. I guess from what I gather, the aerodynamics. If you're
Right.
thinking about how we travel, yeah, but once you reach a certain point in technology, you're not really from the shapes that I've seen out there. But I guess this
Yeah.
shape is perfect. You can refurbish and a regular submarine. I could see that happening and seeing these
Mhm.
things take off. And they're near the Bermuda Triangle. How convenient.
Right.
This has been going on.
Right. Yeah. And there's also, I believe it was this clip, and I will share all the links to these videos in the description for everybody so you can watch the full interviews. I believe that I remember right that this one also had the comments that he had whistleblowers that were gifted children that were recruited for the secret space programs.
Yeah.
And one of them even had the drawing of the underground
Oh
bases
yeah.
because there was like 3 dome bases
Right.
and like a tunnel that connected all of them that
Yeah,
are
like
on
the
the ocean
Jetsons
floor.
underwater.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's pretty cool. I highly recommend everybody watch this full interview because that's some pretty fantastic.
Especially when they're talking about this beautiful white pyramid. I'm really interested in that. What is in was seen in one of those domes.
Mhm.
What's that
Well,
all about?
I have always like when I remote viewed the Bermuda Triangle, I saw a pyramid with this great big crystal in the center of it that was its power source. I mean, I saw that, right? So when they discovered Bimini Island, right, the Bimini Road and all of that, do you remember that?
No.
Um, it's like right off the coast of Florida. It's an underground wall and paved road, and
Oh, okay.
there's like pyramidal shapes and great big beautiful statues and
Oh, okay.
you know, like Atlantis
Right.
type things,
Yep.
right? A lot of people were like, "Oh, that's Atlantis." But I think Atlantis was in more than one place. I think Atlanteans
Yeah.
were in more than just one location, right?
Okay.
We all know
Right.
they were seafarers. So, but it could certainly be Atlantean, and so could the energy source in the pyramid that's there in the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
This could be remnants of a civilization that once thrived in some kind of really high-tech technology, or it could belong to aliens, right?
Yeah, we
Who
like to
knows?
give them all the credit sometimes.
Yeah, I blame everything on the aliens. When my ears ring, I'm like, "It's the aliens calling me." Okay, we have one more clip, right? Michio Kaku and the 9 hidden planets that were discovered orbiting around Three Eye Atlas. Have you seen
Yeah.
that one?
Yes, I have. I
What's
have
your
some.
thoughts on that?
Oh my God. Okay, so these 9 objects that they say they see flying around Three Eye Atlas, did you hear about the speed in which these things like appeared? These things appeared quicker than a blink of an eye.
They just showed up, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
It
saying that each
didn't they say it was, like, in between frames
it was something
when they
so
showed up?
crazy
Like, in
that
one frame, they're not there, and by the next frame, they are?
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's insanely
The
fast.
and the first thing I started thinking of was during that last UFO meeting, Congress meeting, they were talking about when they shot that object with the and how it kind of broke up. There was like 4 pieces that kind of broke up,
The
but
Hellfire
they
missiles?
were still flying with it, right?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of reminds me of is like, did this thing hit something up there?
Yes!
Because what they talk about is
Oh!
when they talk about entities kind of like the thinking tank of it was hit, and to protect itself, the little thinking tankers need to separate from that object just temporarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because they hit that with a hell missile or whatever it was,
The Hellfire missile.
and there was clearly some orbs that were flying right along with it. And if we would have continued watching that, would have seen them go back into one
Actually
piece?
actually, they did. Somebody made a comment on that. I think maybe it was George Knapp that says they didn't show the very end of that where they actually merged all back together.
See, that would make sense, and that's what I'm
And that
hearing
does
as of late is it's like consciousness of how they say these ships are alive. Well, I think they're alive just enough for for them to get the job done. You know what I mean? I think the
Yes.
alive part is something that they can remove at any given moment for safety reasons.
So you don't know about the solar flare that hit the Three-Eye Atlas, do you? The sun
No, unless it
the
was talked about in this video.
No, no, 2 days ago, 2 days ago, Stefan Burns, I think is his name. He's a geophysicist that I watch on YouTube. And 2 days ago, the sun said toward 3i Atlas, and it split in two for a minute, and it turned green.
Okay, yeah, I heard about the green. I
Turned
went all
green.
over the green.
It split in two, but maybe, just maybe, when that happened, we had the 9 other objects show up immediately, and then it said and went back together. Just a thought.
And those are 20 gigawatts each. You know how, oh my gosh, when we're making nuclear generators, huge giant smokestacks, just tons. We're just trying to get just a piece of energy. These things are 20 gigawatts each. These little pieces that fell, that's an integral part. Like that's the brains, that's the power, that's everything that they were saying each one of these 9 objects had. You know? Oh my gosh.
And it gained intensity in light after that. It glowed up to a bigger mass because now, as of today, Avi Loeb is saying that it's 1,000 times bigger, minimum, 1,000 times bigger in brightness and density compared to Oumuamua at this point. Just in the last 2 days. So, and it turned green, and it has slowed down, and it should be speeding up at this point from the magnetic pull of the sun. As it passes Mars, it should be speeding up, and it's actually slowing down. So,
well, what's this Swan R2 all about?
There's 7 of them. There's 7 mystery comets that have shown up all of a sudden out near the sun already.
And there's that number 7 again. Here we are playing with 7 because we do other shows, we do other things, we have other talents. We know what we're, it seems to.
7s keep coming up.
Those 7s keep coming up.
Yeah, and what is up with them? And they have some really interesting names, like that one is named Swan, right? Like why is that named Swan? I don't know.
Because it was ugly at some point.
Damn it. Then its name should be the Ugly Duckling.
Why did I write down Cosmic Protector? It's a large cosmic protector. Anyway, they say this thing's on a 2,200-year orbit?
Yeah, Swan.
So that puts us up pretty close to our Nibiru 3,600. I mean,
right.
Not off 100 and something.
It's in the ballpark.
Yeah, it's got a catchy ring just like it.
Yeah. Lots of exciting things going on.
And the whole green, I really went off on the green thing. So I don't know why, but I was just like green dragons. I looked up all this stuff on green dragons, and every country and their mother has some meaning, special meaning, but it all has something to do with nature and vegetation. And this green dragon, what this comet or object or whatever that's AI Atlas, from what I gathered, to get the color green, you're burning off carbon monoxide, and you've got some nickel emissions going on as well to get this green effect. And I was just thinking about, people in the ancient past looking up and looking at this green dragon. We've been talking about dragons too, you and I. A lot about dragons. And you said, who knows, maybe someday they'll be just as normal as the platypus. God's got a sense of humor, right? Look at the platypus.
Right.
But yeah, this green dragon is very interesting because you hear things about secret knowledge when you're looking into the Druids believed that the green dragons, they thought all the stone circles like Stonehenge were markers of the dragon's body and its spiritual energy points. The spiritual energy points That's what these stone circles are all about. And as a UFO experiencer, I know that there's some kind of tie with the whole Stonehenge type of circular patterns that we're
Yes.
seeing. There's something special in my heart and in my gut, my intuition, and my mind's eye. All the fun stuff.
Right.
There's a tie in there. That's why I had some of these visions that went along with my experience, because they go hand in hand. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of putting them together, and it's like a time capsule. It's not like all these pieces were all presented in front of me and I am to figure it out right there on the spot. I think that they were all presented to me at a certain time, and I'm going to figure them out at certain times. Like they'll mean different things to me at certain different parts of my life.
Right. Yes, I
And
agree with that.
that's the feeling that I'm getting now with 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 these green dragons and stuff. Like history's
Yeah,
repeating itself, like you said.
because it's cyclical. This kind of thing is cyclical. I really firmly believe that. And you were talking about these green dragons and the Stonehenge circles and stuff, and it made me wonder, is this the significance of the Ouroboros and why they took the Orpheus and the Ouroboros out of our calendar and our teachings? Because it actually represented some type of green dragon that comes back with this cyclical Nibiru or whatever. I
Wow.
mean, it could have some connection there.
Right.
It is another one of those pieces of the puzzle, that mystery piece, and you're like, "Why would they remove that?" Right? Because we used to have 13 months, you know? We used to go by a moon calendar instead of a sun calendar. What was the big need
Oh.
and push to change this worldwide? It had to have been that they were trying to hide something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the same thing when they tampered with our natural harmonic frequency of music. And who
Yeah,
had a
and the
hand in
bells.
that? Who had a hand in that? Oh, it's the Rothschilds, right? Or
Yes.
was it the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds?
Oh, it was
One of them.
both.
So and then most people think, oh, no biggie, it's just a matter of 432 to 440.
No,
Not a
and
big
all the
deal.
bells. The bells that used to hang, the big bells in
Right.
the bell
Yeah,
towers,
right. That
that
we
was
were
the
healing, the
resonance
churches
of
were healing
healing.
centers
Yep.
everywhere. And oh, we needed to melt down, for the war. We needed to melt down all these bells for ammunition.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bullshit. Bullshit, I tell
And
you.
why is the Liberty Bell cracked? So it won't work because there's no money in people healing themselves.
That's right. That's a fact, Jack. That is a fact.
Emerald streak. I was like, man, green tail. That's what I seen. I seen the green tail, and then I was like, emerald streak, man. That reminds me of
Yeah.
the emerald tablets of Thoth. And then I was
Yeah.
just like, then I was thinking of the druids and what they would think about the green dragons. And I started looking it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's something to these green dragons.
I think so too.
Comets, it's objects, whatever they are. When I remote viewed it, hey man, to me it looked like a comet because I was looking it was headed right at me. The vision I had, the remote view, it was. And you know what's funny
No
is
nipples this time.
no, I'm talking about that nipple. I'm talking about the nipple. I think it was green. I think it
It was
was
that green
green.
nipple?
It was green, yeah.
It was the
The
Jolly Green Giant's mom?
yeah, it was like a sharper, stronger green on
Oh,
the
wow.
nipple, and then like it faded off into a lighter green around the aureola. What do you call it? The aureola
Areola.
area.
Just think air, right?
Air
Areola.
Eola. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I love to butcher everything.
I thought he was gonna say you love nipples. I mean, it's a man thing. It's okay.
Yeah, I got nipples.
It's all good, right?
My
Oh, look at you showing your nipples on I was gonna say on TV.
hey, you can't do that on television.
You can't do that on television. I ain't doing that. That'll get us locked off of YouTube for good. And your wife would never let you play with me again.
yeah, ruin it.
Right. All right. We're gonna go over to this clip now.
All right. Fine.
Oh, goodness. Michio Kaku. Where's he at? Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. This one. Right here.
The object, if it's technological, it would maneuver, or it would release some mini probes, and or it will broadcast some signal, or it will have some artificial lights coming off it, not just reflection of sunlight.
For months, amateur astronomers around the world had been tracking 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object after Oumuamua and Borisov Dato, capture its unusual phenomenon that changes every week. But the story began with an amateur astronomer named Leslie.
It for real does change every week.
Yeah.
Every day. Lately, it's been every day.
Yeah.
There's a good picture of it in green with its 9 things.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible? And it still doesn't really have a coma, per se. And even what you do see here, this right here, it's facing the wrong direction. It's facing toward the sun, and it should be facing away from the sun.
9 smaller points appeared, dim but distinct, moving in perfect lockstep with the main body. In his images, they look like fireflies around a lantern. He posted the frames online on several astronomer forums, but at first, most professionals dismissed them as noise or cosmic rays. Over the next 48 hours, however, the James Webb Space Telescope, Hubble, the Very Large Telescope in Chile, and the Keck Observatory in Hawaii all confirmed the same thing. These are instruments designed to measure the faintest galaxies at the edge of the universe, so they do not hallucinate. But what made it so terrifying was the uniformity. Spectral reports showed all 9 objects shared the same speed, same trajectory, and the same strange green tinted tail as 3I Atlas, confirming they were not from our solar system. Until that moment, every professional and amateur astronomer had seen only one object. Now, there were 10. Spectroscopy further revealed that all 9 carried the same metal-rich signature, nickel, cobalt, and high-temperature alloys like the 3I Atlas, and the same unusual carbon monoxide-driven glow. But what was distinguishable from 3I Atlas was that Earth was about 1/10 the size of 3I Atlas, yet apparently powered by a nuclear core twice as powerful. The math alone made scientists nervous. 3I Atlas had already puzzled them with an estimated 10 gigawatt power source inferred from its thermal profile and tail behavior. But the
Now, I just want to pause that there for a moment because I want to talk about the size of this. You know, I have presumed and postulated a few times that this could very well be what we call Nibiru, right?
Right.
And why can't Nibiru also have like a Dionosphere qualities to it, right? Dyson sphere, that's what I'm trying to say. Quality to it, right? The Death Star. And have craft that can come off of it, right? And fly around next to it. The size, though, is what's leading me back to Nibiru again, because when I did my math and my studying, my research on the possibility of Nibiru's existence, when it was out beyond the Kuiper Belt, beyond Jupiter and Neptune and Saturn, it would have to be a mass that's larger than Jupiter in order to cause Jupiter's perturbations, right?
Yeah.
It's the biggest guy out there.
Right.
Okay. And so with that being said, it in comparison to Earth, because if Nibiru and Planet X and this little solar system that I'm talking about is real and exists, the center of it, which is maybe what we're looking at with 3I Atlas, is the dwarf star itself. Okay. which wouldn't put off the same light as our main star does
Right.
at
Yeah.
this point, because it's the older star. And
Right.
it also comes from that area of the Milky Way galaxy as well, where the dwarf stars or the dead stars live, the old stars.
Right.
So these 9 things around it could very well be planets orbiting around this dead star versus being spacecraft even, okay? And that they know now how they're intelligent enough and advanced enough that they have created a
Dyson sphere.
Dyson sphere, thank you, out of their dwarf star, right? Because what are the stories of the Anunnaki? First of all, they come here to mine the gold for an atmosphere around their planet because their star doesn't put up enough heat and stuff for them. Okay, so they needed something else in their atmosphere, and they needed our gold for it.
Yeah.
But in comparison to the Earth, this object, this Death Star, this dwarf star
Yeah.
would dwarf us to where we are like literally a 10th of its size, or even smaller, maybe even 100th of a point, right? I forget how many Earths it takes to make a Jupiter, but it's not 100 Earths. I don't remember
Right.
the exact number, but so it would have to be bigger than Jupiter, right? So, and all of that is kind of fitting, is my point. All of that math is sort of fitting now to suggest that this may very well be what the ancients wrote about in Sumeria and Mesopotamia and all these places about Planet X. And that's another thing. Sitchin would always say that the drawing that he saw, the Sumerian drawing, was our main star with 9 planets around it,
See,
right?
that's where I was going to
And that's
go.
where the whole Planet 9 comes from. But what if they were actually depicting a second solar system within ours to make it a
Yes.
binary system
Right.
that was a main star that had 9 planets
Yeah.
that orbited around it? We may very well be looking at our second solar system coming into our 3,600 year cycle space at this point.
Yeah, that's I know the famous etching, or painting,
Yeah.
or whatever it is, of the big, which would represent the object that's on its way, and we were like, oh my God, how'd they know about what was it, the 9th planet or whatever at the time, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh my gosh, I was totally thinking that. And you know it's probably large enough to have its own atmosphere and everything. It can hold planets, like you said, it could be a
Yeah.
Dyson sphere. I always thought maybe a Dyson sphere was more, sounds more like an effect, like a Dyson sphere effect, although I believe you can manufacture it as well. If you know what you're doing, you can manufacture this Dyson sphere effect and create and control and manage your own world. Some people believe that we're living within a Dyson sphere right now. You know, but yeah, that sounds like this object could have its own natural Dyson sphere effect, where that's why these objects are staying right alongside, because they're part of the orbit. I don't know if they're fixed orbits like our moon is a fixed satellite, or are we going to be checking in with this picture and maybe we'll see 4 instead of 9? Maybe there's times, yeah, there it is. Thank you. Is there times where we're going to see 3 and not the other 6 because they're actually orbiting it? That would be interesting for me to see. Or is it, or are these objects going to co-inheres, like come back into form 1 again? Like the object that was shot, that that was shot, and they were talking about it during the UFO Congress. But yeah, that's it. When you were talking, that's exactly what I was. That's where I was at right there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Because if the Anunnaki actually do exist, and they actually did come from a different planet that's in our solar system.
Yeah.
And it's a binary solar system. Well, it
Right.
makes sense that they would draw the entire system to explain where they come from.
I can see why you're heading back that direction. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, I have always felt like we're going to experience that in our lifetime.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh.
the math adds up for it. Noah's flood happened because of this binary star system. That was 3,600 years ago.
Yeah.
Atlantis going under happened between 9,000 and 10,500 years ago. I mean, or 100, excuse me. The math adds up for the cataclysms on Earth and the tree ring samples, the ice core samples, the mud flood evidence, all sorts of
Yeah.
things
Yep.
show various layers of catastrophe, whether it's in only one area or several on the globe. Pole shifts included. Like, I have studied all of this my entire adult life, following the pole shifts, watching the earthquakes, watching the meteors come in that I expected to be unexpected meteors, showing up, or comets that don't belong to our regular pattern and routine showing up, because all of those things should exist if there's a second solar system that's coming near us, because the whole system is following, right? So
Ah,
all of their
yeah.
comets, all of their asteroids, all of their meteors,
Right.
everything are
Yeah.
coming with them.
Yeah. It's gobbling up all that stuff. Yep.
Yes. And I also feel like that's part of the mission of the light workers that are here, and why it's so important for us to wake up, have an awakening, realize who we are, so that we can help keep the shield of the planet intact, so that
Yeah.
cataclysm doesn't
Wow.
happen again.
Right. Oh my gosh. Are we heading back that way? Is this really happening again? That's just so amazing. And to think of, the floods that I've had visions of, and me being a
Tsunami
giant
waves.
and running from this crashing flood and jumping up onto a stone circle. Some of the things that we were talking about earlier, it's like, what else do you need? Just hang
Yeah.
on and just keep paying attention. But
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
And
yeah.
there's so many people who have come to me in my professional position, who believe they're star seeds or volunteers or whatever word you want to use for it, indigo, whatever, that all have these connections to ancient Egypt being destroyed by a cataclysm, or Atlantis being destroyed by a cataclysm, even Greece or Crete. Like, all of it matters. All of it is part of this whole bigger picture, that
Mhm.
we're here again to try to fix it this time, make it right. Right?
Wow.
Make it right to where we're protected, the planet's protected, everything's protected. And that's why it's so big of a passion of mine to teach people that we can part a storm, calm a tornado, call down the waves of the tsunamis, disperse the earthquakes, keep the earth's shields, magnetic shields, in place, right? This is what I talk about when I'm talking about grid work and true light worker work. And since I was 22 years old, I've been going into this astral meditation, where I go to the dipoles of the earth and I hold them steady and strong, which is, our dipoles are what keeps the magnetic field going, right? You've got one at each pole, a dipole. And I didn't even know what dipoles were. I just knew that that's what I was doing. I was going to that pole that is like the main power pole, right, for our planet. And I was helping to keep it strong. So people need to learn these things, but they're not. So that's okay. I think I got enough. I think I got enough juice in me to do this. I'm not totally alone. I know there's other people that exist.
You got 20 gigawatts
That's the
each.
whole. That's the whole point of the Emerald Order of the Melchizedek, which I was going to bring up when you were talking about the Emerald Dragon
Oh
and all
yeah.
emerald
Yeah.
color, and this thing turning green and all that, because the Melchizedek in the Bible, I just did a video on this, actually. I personally believe was Jesus in one of his past life incarnations. And then in Jesus's life, he actually learned from the Melchizedek order. and they call themselves the Emerald Order of the Melchizedek. They know the mysteries, right? They were the true holders of the keys to the mysteries
Yes.
long before the Essenes or the Cathars or the Rosicrucianers or the Knights Templar or any of them, right?
Right.
And when I started publicly talking about all of the things that we can do and who we are and who I am, I had this man contact me that was like, I think you're one of us and you need this PDF. And I'm like, what do you mean I'm one of you? And he's like, you're part of the Emerald Order of Melchizedek that's come back here to help do this. And I got chills again because I never even heard of such a group, right? And he sends me this PDF, and in the PDF, and I'll actually send you a copy of it if you would like to look at it. It's got all
Sure.
kinds of incredible stuff in it, but it's all of the things that I've talked about, like the grid work and how the vibrations of the way we use tones
Yeah.
creates different energy
Right.
and manifestations and does different things. And I mean, it's just amazing. The ley lines of the earth are in it, you know,
Yep.
where all of the major grid points are and all these different things, how to create a Merkaba body
Yeah.
generator around you that activates your 12-strand DNA, you know, to wake up all of your 144 fire codes that are within your DNA that lay dormant right now. Like, it's all this stuff that I talked about before. And I feel like it goes with the Nibiru scenario, the Anunnaki scenario. And I don't feel like the Anunnaki are bad. Like a lot of people worry that they may be bad. I don't think that they are. Just because if they know the same stuff I know and they haven't struck me down yet, or others like me,
Mhm.
it must not be a bad thing for us to know it, is my point. You know? Because if we
So
were
I
really
think I
meant
think
to
I
be.
read I read somewhere where is this what you're kind of saying is like the whole Thoth and the Emerald tablets and everything could be a different version of God, a different version of Jesus, or so to speak. The
Yes, I
word
think
because when you read the Thoth and the universal laws, a lot of it kind of goes hand in hand with the Ten Commandments and things like that. You know?
right, exactly. And I
Okay.
do feel like Thoth was likely,
He was
maybe not the same soul as Jesus, but a soul like Jesus, right?
right.
Because there are some different ascended masters,
Yeah, he was
you
the
know?
Atlantean, Thoth
Mhm.
the Atlantean.
Yes, exactly. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's all connected, right? And interestingly enough, just on a little side note there, um, I always knew that my name in like one of my more powerful past lives, I guess you would say, I was more fully in my creator mode
Okay.
than, let's say, in this lifetime, right? Um, I always knew that my name was Asherah
Ah,
or Asherah, right? However you want to
yeah,
pronounce it.
right.
And I'd never ever heard that name anywhere before. Well, then when I started learning about the Melchizedek stuff, I actually learned that in the early biblical days, before the Bible was actually written, and there was other texts that they don't consider the Bible, right? They're part of the non-canonical parts of the Bible. There were three gods with a small g. There was Baal, Yahweh, and Asherah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, what? So I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, how do I have the same name as her? Did I get named her as a namesake? I would think that would be like some kind of a sinful thing to do or something. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, we just shouldn't go around naming people Yahweh, right? That wouldn't be very respectful.
Well, there's people
You
named
know what I mean?
Jesus. You know, there's a lot of Jesuses out there.
Yeah, but they call it Jesus. They don't call him Jesus, even though it's spelled the same way. They don't call him Jesus. They call him Jesus, right?
Yeah, and I seen that video by the way. That was
Oh,
very
did you?
interesting. Yeah, your little personal thing on what you can get out on just that one. You know, there's more to it, but yeah, I
Yeah.
sat there and I watched it. It was very interesting.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, I just thought that, there's a lot of interesting connections here, particularly with the green, the emerald, stuff like that. I want to cut back to this video clip real quick before we wrap this up. I know it's getting late. This is run kind of long. Oh no, is it going to start?
The object, if it's technological, it would.
It's all right.
Going to load all over again. All right, let's see if I can find. Oh, right there.
Valuable from our solar system, but others like Michio Kaku offered a more natural explanation. He suggested that 3I Atlas could be a comet-like object that collided with a massive interstellar rock. Because 3I Atlas's body is much stronger than normal, moving at over 60 kilometers per second, the impact could have shattered it into fragments that retain the same speed and trajectory. In this scenario, the smaller pieces are super dense chunks of the original body, absorbing its kinetic energy. But Ave Loeb responded that in such a case, the fragments would not be powered like miniature reactors. No known rock can split into 9 pieces, each generating 20 gigawatts. Nor would the green tails match perfectly. And then came the second shock. Another interstellar comet, Swan R2, was approaching from the opposite direction, 100 times more massive and luminous than 3I Atlas. Its tail spanned 2.5 degrees on the sky, dwarfing even the largest comets in history. It would reach perihelion in the same week as 3I Atlas, this October, essentially creating an interstellar traffic jam around the sun. But what's so shocking is that trajectory records showed an object on a similar trajectory every 2,200 years. Some UFO researchers say Swan R2 might be coming to save us from 3I Atlas, acting as a kind of cosmic protector. Others insist the opposite, that both Swan R2 and 3I Atlas are arriving to take something valuable from the sun, and that their meeting near perihelion is no coincidence. Still, others argue that if Swan was truly hostile, Earth would already have been destroyed during Swan R2's previous visits, 2,200 years ago, when humanity was completely defenseless. Historians point out Chinese imperial archives mention a heavenly dragon in 200 BCE. Babylonian tablets describe a splitting star that herald great upheavals. Medieval European chronicles around the year 1000 record a green visitor with a tail like a banner. If that cycle holds, we are due again now. Yet despite the mountain data and growing public fascination, NASA and ESA have stayed almost completely silent, issuing only the briefest statements about ongoing observations and repeating that there is no evidence of any threat, even as...
Okay, and I'm going to stop it right there because that's a perfect place for me to add the new information that I actually learned today that may or may not have anything to do with 3I Atlas at all. But Pete Hegseth has called an emergency meeting with all of the generals, the top military people all over our world that we have everywhere. They are to be in his office by Friday, I believe. 2 weeks from this Friday, they have to be in his office for an emergency meeting. And I watched this guy called Monkey Works to watch for the plane activity in the air all over the world. And he also has taken note that in the past 48 hours, our airplane traffic or military traffic, if you will, worldwide, has sort of went ghost to where it looks like there's none happening. So I feel like they're all getting into a position for something. And of course, there's everybody that's like stipulating this is Russia, Russia, Russia. We're going to war with Russia. I don't think this has anything to do with a war at all. And then you've got all of the drones that are all over the planet showing up now in different places again, right? Lots and lots of drone activity. So I would propose a theory. What if the world militaries are all getting into position just in case shit does hit the fan again as this thing comes through.
Yeah, that's what they're describing as a silent mobility.
Right.
All the
Because
satellites and dishes are being turned, and satellites are being positioned, and yeah.
Right. And then, like, you've got that comet, the swan, it has that broom tail. That's actually told about in all of that old historic writings and documents too, from when the blue star Kachina, the red star Kachina, Nibiru, all of those different stories. When this happens, you also see the broom tailed comet, right? That has the big wide fanned out thing, just like the swan thing has. And then also there's the point that I want to make to how NORAD, ever since 2020, has been inside of Cheyenne Mountain on emergency contingency plans, and they remain there still to this day. Now, an interesting little piece of information that I just put a pin in and stuck in the back of my head because COVID happened was that right before COVID happened, the main telescope observatory that JPL uses to watch for things in infrared is in Los Alamos, New Mexico. And they saw something in in February of 2019. They saw something. And immediately the whole laboratory was shut down by the feds. Everybody was sent home. All the data was collected. The computers were trashed. The observatory itself, the telescope, was shut down completely, went offline for public not to ever be able to view again. And I was actually one of the researchers trying to figure that out. We had people on the ground there trying to sneak in to find out what was going on. They had it securely guarded by military and police officers, and had feds like inside the buildings using the equipment to run it. They saw something. And then it wasn't a month later, less than a month later, that NORAD went into Cheyenne Mountain and locked down, and they're still there. So I think this had something to do with the binary star. And that's why they told people during the COVID thing, stay inside, get your masks ready, all these different things. I think it had something more to do with that than actually COVID. But they couldn't tell anyone that because remember, Trump was our president then.
Yeah.
And if this was like a whole big psyop and this COVID thing was like a big nefarious genocide, if you will, he'd have done something to stop that while he was president. But he didn't. So I think he knew something bigger was at play than just COVID. And in hindsight, it wasn't near as dangerous and deadly as we were led to believe. So you have to ask why. Why did they want us to think that this was so scary and dangerous that we would stay home and not go anywhere, right? And we had national.
Well, I think he made it better.
Everywhere. And now we're getting people into position again, National Guard and military. Even matter of fact, today, one of my clients called me. You know, I'm a professional psychic. One of my clients called me, and she's the wife of a military man who was just informed yesterday that he needs to prepare to either go stateside or to the border for the next 14 months, at least. But no reason why. He wasn't told why. And of course, like I said, everybody's thinking war, 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 but I don't think that's what this is. FEMA has had a plan in place since Barack Obama was president in 2008 for this very event. You can go to their website and look it up. They're ready for this. They already have like all kinds of provisions in storages and warehouses and in caves that are no longer being used. They are prepared for this. And then I don't even know if you knew anything about it, but 4 or 5 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, people in Michigan were noticing FEMA trucks moving in and taking over an old evacuated airport and putting storage things into there. And it made them so uneasy that FEMA ended up relocating to a different position. But if they're looking at worst case scenario for this, which, I mean, good tactical people would. They would look at worst case scenario stuff. My rock just fell.
Yeah, right by your coffee time. What is that?
It's my
Oh, okay.
meditation rocks. I heat them. You know, you can heat them up and put them on your body
Okay.
or walk on them. But it just fell out of nowhere. But FEMA's got all these provisions, and there was even more movement with the FEMA trucks and stuff going in. And if they're going for worst case scenario, the Navy already has a map. I did a video on this years ago of the Navy's map that matches exactly with Edgar Casey's map of what America alone will look like after Nibiru comes through, where the Great Lakes, the New Madrid fault line will wake up. The sleeping giant will wake up, and it will cause the Great Lakes and the Gulf of Mexico to spill into the Ohio and Mississippi River. And then I'm living in oceanside property.
Yeah.
You know, at best, I'm oceanside property.
Right.
Other than that, I might be ocean, right? Because I'm like right on the edge of that whole thing if that actually pops off. So worst case scenario, they're looking at the Navy map type thing, right? The Navy did research on Edgar Casey's findings. And then FEMA did their part to put all the contingency plans in place, including like biodegradable and underwater body bags. Like that's a real thing. Worst case scenario stuff, right? Like they're ready for it. All the way up to the very worst case scenario. So I think that's what's going on. And that's why they're not telling us the truth on everything. That's my theory. That's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, and all those talk of war, like you said, it's not the war that they're thinking about. Well, if you can imagine,
I mean, it's that same old
total
plan. Look, you're
anarchy.
not there, right?
Can you imagine total anarchy in every individual country? Well, that's
Yeah,
worse than
exactly.
any war that I can imagine. So that's hush hush.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the people knew it's coming ahead of time,
Oh
you're going to
boy.
have the anarchy ahead of time. So you mum's the word, keep the lid on it, do this the right way. You don't just like with any other tactic of war or tactic of strategic moves, you
Right.
don't telegraph your moves ahead of time.
Right.
You move quietly, you move softly like cat. That's what they taught me in Tai Chi. Walk softly like cat.
Or like water, like Bruce Lee said.
Yeah, move like water. Move fluid like water. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's why it's important to me for everybody to level up and learn who we really are, because I know that we're who we've been waiting for in more ways than one, and that we really could keep the shields of the planet strong enough that shit doesn't hit the fan.
How many other civilizations that rose and fell, like, knew about their history? Like, how many civilizations actually knew about their history? Is it something that we keep fighting for to find? Because that's, to me, it's like a God-given right. How dare you keep something like that from us?
Yeah. Well, I personally think from like studying history over long periods of time that civilizations rise and fall like a wave.
Yeah.
And those will be in varying degrees of intelligence and technology and all of those things, similar to how we talk about the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, the Iron Age, right? And so like you fall from grace, so to speak, you fall from the Golden Age down to the Silver. And then it's like the telephone game. By the time you get to the Bronze Age, lots of people have forgotten it or got it wrong, change the story. And then by the time you get to the Iron Age, the ones that do still remember, well, they're going to
Oh
try to
my
capitalize on that
God.
shit and keep control of it, right?
Yeah. Oh
Until
my
you come back to
gosh.
the Golden Age. And the Iron Age, what's next after that? That's the Information Age. That's where we're at now. And that's how you get back to the Golden Age.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Why wouldn't it be repeating itself just in different forms and various ways? Oh my gosh. This group of people were able to retain this secret for longer than the previous civilization that blew it. Someone blew it, It's, yeah, you got to take it all into consideration. There's no cut and dry, black and white answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Yeah,
very
and I think that's
interesting.
the point of a lot of these secret societies too, they have this knowledge, but they're not gonna tell it to the masses because A, they would freak out. B, if it's in the wrong hands, they could use it wrong, right? And do really bad damage to the whole planet or to a big population. And so you gotta keep it a secret, whether you're the good guys or the bad guys. And well, people wanna lump you into the same category as the bad guys just because you're trying to keep the secret safe and keep it out of the wrong hands, then so be it. Just call me a fucking ass, right?
Yeah,
I'll take it.
right.
So I
Even the
totally get
bad
it.
guys know that that information wouldn't do them any good getting out,
Well,
and
and I think that's why a lot of these millionaires have made these big bunkers and stuff, right? These deep
yeah,
underground bunkers. I think that explains it. They actually somehow managed to obtain that knowledge, either through being a member of the World Economic Forum or whatever, you know, like they know this shit's coming.
yeah, they've been preparing for many, many years. They've
Yep.
got the East Coast tied into the West Coast underground, and these speed bullet trains, that everyone's fighting about, they've been making them, and these tunnels have been done a long time ago,
Right.
and
And all
they're
these
able to
people
run this country no matter what happens. They're going to
and
plan on,
right, exactly. No matter what happens, they will still have transportation underneath of the ground. They will still have safe and secure ways to live, foods, restaurants. The whole thing is down there underground that people just don't realize. I mean, there is a whole network underneath of our feet that runs and functions on a daily basis that most people aren't even aware of.
yeah,
Complete with restaurants and everything. And I think that they created these underground cities so that they could be the ones to survive whatever they think is coming. The funny thing here for me is that I don't think they'll be the ones to survive.
right,
I think their plan is going to bite them in the ass.
yeah,
But, the Jeff Bezos of the world, the Zuckerbergs, the Bushes, all of them have underground bunkers that are huge. They're like mansions underground, fortresses and mansions underground. They all have them. A lot of Hollywood's elite even have their own underground bunkers, you know? I think they're trying to prepare to save their ass, and they don't give two shits about us. But I think it'll be people like us that will be the ones to survive, you
yep,
know?
and do like we've always talked about, just stand fast.
Stand fast. I mean, we know how to live off the land. We still have enough country in us,
Yeah, this is
or
a good thing.
yeah, right. For survival things, right? If it did come to that, and hopefully enough of the collective wake up to know how to, hold the magnetic field strong and the dipole strong and manifest and all of those things. I feel good about it. I don't feel like we're in for any kind of doom and gloom, even though I do really truly feel like this three-eye atlas has something to do with our binary star and that it's coming in our lifetime. I don't think that it's going to be the great destroyer. The Hopi even speak of it as it can come one of two ways. It can come as the messenger or it can come as the destroyer. And I think that's up to where we are collectively and what is in our heart and our mind that makes that decision, you know, just automatically by being good, wanting to be good, that's part
Wow.
of what saves us.
It makes me think of that 3,600-year orbit, but them sitting on it going, well, let's see where they're at now. I don't like what I see. Start it over, you
Mhm.
know, or
Mhm.
we can work with this for a little bit.
Mhm.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, if they really are our progenitors, then certainly they can decide, right? Whether or not we're going to wipe out most of humanity and let them start from scratch and come back around in another 3,600 years and check on them again and hope for the best, right?
Yeah, and I've always wondered about that, that did they make us slaves to mine the gold, Uh, it's just if it has something to do with their atmosphere, like you said earlier, I never really thought of that aspect of it because up until now, up until you said that, I really didn't think it made sense to me. I
Mhm.
just thought it was just part of the story that probably didn't really happen. But
Well, I mean, if you think, what do we use gold for? We use gold on our satellites. We use gold on the International Space Station.
it is a good conductor, yeah.
Uh, we use it in our computers and our cell phones. There's gold and crystals in those, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a very good conductor and conduit, and it's also a good reflector if necessary, you know.
Yeah.
So because it doesn't heat up the same as other metals.
Mm-hmm.
And just before we close, I have to share my 30-year-old son. He's an odd duck. He had to share this article with me tonight before I got on with you that is about these scientists who are learning that gold comes from a bacterium that is found in poop, waste. Okay. Waste. That there's a lot of gold bacterium. Gold is made from bacterium and found in some in the waste. I don't know why they study poop, but that's what they do. But he's like, this is a weird thing, but I thought you might want to look at it. So I got to looking at it and I'm like, huh, okay. So if gold actually is formed from a bacterium and like gold is naturally in our body, which that's a fact, gold and silver are naturally in our body as well as copper and zinc and iron and different things, right?
Yeah. Calcite.
Mm-hmm. So if it comes out in our poop, wouldn't it stand to reason then that when they find gold in large clusters, large areas, such as in caves or old mines or whatever you want to call them, that perhaps, just perhaps, it's just a hypothesis, that this could have been some type of ancient civilization's septic system or something, where the
Yeah.
only thing left is the gold at
Yeah,
this point?
right.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, what do you
maybe.
think? Some of our best coffee beans come from the poop of monkeys that poop it out.
Exactly. Exactly. And there was a scientist that said that opals are actually created from petrified hearts. Like it was an organ. Like he proves it really, really well. There's like biology and all kinds of things behind it, but it made sense when he explained it to me. I was
Yeah,
like, opals come from your heart. Okay.
yeah,
Anything's heart, right?
right. And some of the crystals look like they're actually fresh chunks of cut meat from the giants.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, if we can get precious stones from organs of living things, why not get gold from poop?
Yeah.
The things that
I knew I
did.
liked silver better than gold for some reason.
Right? Me too. I've always kind of had an adverse reaction to gold for some reason. And now
Yeah, it's overrated,
yeah.
except the Egyptians look damn good in it.
Oh, they really do. Everybody tells me I look really good in gold too because of my skin tone, but I don't wear gold. I wear silver. I don't wear or copper. I won't wear gold.
Yeah.
But yeah, that might explain a lot.
A lot, Jenny.
A lot. It might explain a lot. All right, this has been a great show. You got anything you want to say before we close?
No, I think we said it.
We said it, man. We
Yeah,
really said a lot this time.
it's homegrown.
It's
Hometown buffet.
It's homegrown, just like the gold.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please hit the thumbs up on your way out. And if you haven't already, you need to subscribe. Like, seriously, subscribe already.
Do it.
Do it. Just do it. Be like Nike. Just do it.
Good night, y'all.
You know, be better than Nike.
Yeah, be better than Nike.
Be better than Nike, but just do it.
Yeah, do it anyway.
Yeah, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.